Hi there, I'm Mountain Jace, and this is Train, Don't Strain. In this series, subtitled Dumb Things I Saw at Gym Today, I want to quickly and succinctly highlight key elements of training that will help you climb ever higher up to your peak fitness. Throughout, I will make regular reference to my earlier series called Foundations of Fitness, which is the go-to resource for getting a deeper understanding of the evolutionary method of training a muscle into the debilitation zone. This is the crucial boundary beyond which your body is forced to not only repair torn muscle fibers, but to actually build them back better, which is the very path to gaining increased levels of strength and fitness in the future. Understand this, you can sit on a couch, binge watching G of T, repeatedly lifting a can of beer up to your lips until you lose consciousness, but when you awake, your biceps will be just as weak as before. That is because below the debilitation zone cutoff, your body simply lumps everything a muscle does under the heading general maintenance, meaning it will only be repaired back to its former state and no more. Anyway, time is precious, so let's jump straight in. Today, I want to explain why using kettlebells are a complete waste of your time and goals, at least the way most people do. But even more importantly, I want to give you the evolutionary understanding of just why this is, so that you are then empowered to take this knowledge and incorporate it into every exercise you do in the gym. So, here are the three main ways I see people every day using kettlebells. The most common is gripping a bell with both hands, keeping the arms straight, and then letting the weight arc down between their open legs before then sending it speeding higher above their heads, almost to the vertical line. In this move, from top to bottom, almost no muscles are being engaged. And therefore, the benefit when it comes to doing this shit move again, perhaps in a week's time, is absolutely nothing. Here's why. When your arms are straight, they form a continuous line of solid bone through which the weight of the kettlebell travels without any need to activate a single muscle fiber. That's why you never see anyone walking out of a shop carrying a heavy bag of goods with their elbows bent at 90 degrees. Indeed, that's why humans stand straight upright and not in a crouch position. So, let's say the bell weighs 10 kilograms. All of this force is being held in the bone. As it drops down through the legs, thanks to the effect of gravity rather than human effort, it passes beyond the vertical and swings, just like a pendulum, through the gap between the legs before then slowing as it starts to rise again. At which point, instinctively, because it achieves the most amount of work with, tellingly, the least amount of effort, the person who has been using the falling weight to slightly open their knee joints suddenly closes them whilst also closing their hip joints, neither of which require much effort because for a short distance, joints act like self-pulleys. That's why, if you bend your knees a small amount and then take hold of a very heavy Olympic bar, you'll still be able to close the joint again, even though you could never lift the same weight directly off the floor. This sudden closing of joints then whipsaws the body's own considerable mass through a number of large bones to fling the kettlebell upwards, again without a single real muscle fiber firing. In the same way that if you have a seesaw with a 1-ton weight on one end and a 2-ton weight is dropped on the other. As I say, all the time the bell is going towards the ceiling, it is pulling both arms along with it so no muscles are being trained. As it reaches its highest point, thanks to gravity, the bell then suddenly goes into reverse and free falls back down to the ground, creating the pendulum effect that is used to do the next cycle of up and down swings. Once again, your body is barely doing anything, and most definitely not training a muscle deep into the debilitation zone from which future fitness is derived. If you don't believe me, try, when the bell is free falling down again, to suddenly stop it in its tracks. You won't be able to, because there is zero muscle engagement even though the weight is clearly moving. It's fake fitness at its worst. It does nothing except con you into thinking you're not an idiot. Here are the other ways kettlebells are often used, both of which suffer from the same stupidity, that is to say, getting bone and body mass to counter an external weight. First, they hold the kettlebell in front of them as they stand upright. Then, by doing nothing more energetic than shifting their body weight from one foot to the other and back again, they make the bell rotate all the way around their hips, passing the handle from hand to hand as it goes. This is just so dumb. You can even see, as they make the switch between hands, that the weight is in a circular orbit, purely created by them leaning back when the weight is in front of them and then leaning forward when it is behind them. Their arms, body and legs are straight, so that a 10 kilogram of mass displacement equals 10 kilograms of force needed to make the bell swing round. Just like if you have a big stone on the end of a taut length of string, rather than one that has kinks in it. The stone moves in a 1-to-1 ratio according to how much the string is pulled. The other way I see people exposing their complete lack of gym training smarts is when they stand on one leg, create a 90-degree angle in their body so that it's horizontal to the floor, stick the other leg out behind them, also horizontal to the floor, and then hold a kettlebell in the same hand. Rotating at the hip, they then proceed to lower the outstretched leg before raising it again back to the start position. All the while, the kettlebell is traveling in an opposite up and down fashion. Dudes, are you completely lacking any self-awareness? All you've created is a human seesaw, where the drop-in, thanks to gravity, not muscular exertion, of your leg makes the kettlebell rise, at which point you shift the balance of power to the kettlebell, allowing it to fall and thus counterlift your leg. By incorporating the heavy kettlebell into the equation, you've actually ensured you do less work, almost zero in fact, not more. Surely we can all agree that doing nothing is never the right path to getting fitter and stronger. Anyway, think about all the points I have touched upon and never do any training with kettlebells. They just can't be used in a productive way. And never let the weight you're meant to be training with either enter your bones or be moved because you have whipsawed your much heavier body through a natural fulcrum point. This is cheat training at its worst. And the only one who will suffer is you. Now go do the right thing. This is Mountain Jace saying out. Out!